AXONS Unleashed.
G'day everyone, my name's Robbie Turner. Welcome to another episode of AXONS Unleashed. I've got my main man, my right-hand man, Lukey Millwood, next to me as promised. How are you, mate?
It's great to be back, RT. It's real good to be here, mate.
This is going to be a cracking podcast. We've got an amazing guest with us today. So we're still going to talk a lot about basic training. And of course, as you know, ladies and gents, we're interviewing the other veterans in Axon. And it's not a bloke. It's a lovely lady. So you're going to, all the female listeners out there are going to get a real understanding of what it's like to go through the military without getting your head shaved. Although I fucking hope you tell me you did. We'll get there. G.I. Jane style. How good was that movie, by the way? She wouldn't bloody put herself through Navy SEALs training.
Inspiring.
It's Hollywood, mate. It's all right.
Inspiring.
It's like, just the magic happened. Amana Lewis, welcome to AXONS Unleashed. How you feeling?
Thank you so much. I'm honoured to be here.
That's
I
good.
am.
That's good. You're going to love this session, ladies and gents. We've got someone who speaks very, very well. You've got a great story to tell. You've got a lot of history. And, of course, you're sitting here now with an Axon shirt on, so I can't wait for you to share that with everyone. Like, how the fuck did that happen? So, I can't wait for you to tell all the stories about how you met Axon and what it was like when you first thought. And, you and Ryan sending me photos of, like, Friday evening after you've had your first child, and bloody Robbie's sitting there on your bloody 75-inch screen and they're drinking red wine, listening to me jaw off, like, all that stuff. It was pretty cool.
I think I'm really looking forward to, we bring a perspective to, to the experience of going through and joining the military and what that looks like, but it's very one-dimensional from us in terms of it's a bloke's perspective, right? And we're able to provide that perspective on through experience. This is the first time that we're going to get, our audience are going to get what it's like going through that, from a female point of view. What are those challenges? What are those, what are those things that motivated you that may not be the same or maybe slightly different to, this old bullfed or that old bullfed?
And of course, now we're not talking Army stuff, we're talking Air Force stuff as well. So for those that are listening, like, wasn't there a Ryan Lewis on last podcast? I'm like, yes, correct. So when he was talking about, I want to hear your version of the CrossFit gym, by the way, just to set the record straight.
Thank you.
I know you've listened to that podcast the other day, and you're like, fucking Ryan painted me in a certain way. Like, you see, now's your chance for redemption, or
fire back.
So I'm looking forward to getting to the truth of that matter. So yeah, you guys have been a wonderful couple, a vibrant couple. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad that we've all got the opportunity of helping each other right now. So yeah, let's go back to the start. So who are you? Where'd you grow up? Tell us your story.
So I was born in Tasmania, Devonport, Tasmania.
Beautiful place.
It is beautiful. I started my schooling venture in Queensland. So we'd moved to Queensland. We then moved to back to Tasmania, did a bit of high school there. And then I finished my high school years in Queensland.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's a bit of Tassie, a bit of Queensland.
Version.
Yeah.
Do you still have the scar, or has that gone away from the second hand?
Look, it's still there.
What was school like for you?
So I've been a naturally gifted person my whole life, and I definitely took that for granted as a kid and got a bit bored towards the end of high school. So in primary school, I was accepted into a accelerated learning program. So in primary school, I was doing a bit of high school work, and I really enjoyed that. But then fast forward to about 15, 16 years of age, I just got really bored with school, stopped doing my homework, started challenging, like, well, what's going to happen if I don't do this assignment?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Nothing happened. Although my OP score came back and it was horrendous.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
There's always an outcome.
There's always, there are always, things that, there are always results to your actions or outcomes of your actions. And so you started feeling that pressure as a result of, making that decision of, I'll just pay that off. Tell us about that. How did you bring it back? Because you're bloody successful. It's not like that lasted for the rest of your life,
Correct.
By the way.
So I got to about 18. So I graduated grade 12. I think I was 16. So I was too. I was young.
Yep.
Young.
Is your birthday late in the year?
27th of December.
That doesn't get too much later than that. So yeah, mine's 30 November. So I was 16 going through my year 12 as well.
Yes.
So yeah, you and I share a similar experience.
And of course I thought I knew everything and, you know, whatever. fast forward to I'm about 18, picture this, and all my school buddies are either going to university because they've got decent OP scores and they could do that. And I'm just working. I did retail work, a bit of admin work, just a bit of this, bit of that. And I got to a point where I realised this is not what I want to do.
Yep.
I want something more challenging. I want to really grow as a person intellectually, physically, emotionally, just in every different aspect. What are my prospects?
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So I started looking at the police force or Army, Navy, Air Force. And as a kid, I remember going to, do you remember Riverfire? I don't know if they still do it. And the F-111s used to.
Funny, of course they do.
Yeah.
They still do it?
Queensland.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Well, there's no more F111s, of course, but yeah.
Yes. And I remember them dumping their fuel and thinking, whoa, that's really
That's
cool.
cool shit.
That's real cool.
What year are we talking about, just for context?
I'm thinking 1999.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
That's when I went down to Kapuka as a recruit instructor.
So I'm thinking I want something a bit more from my life.
Yep.
And I just felt like I had limited options. That was the story I was telling myself. So I just looked online, DFR, looked at what, who was recruiting. Army was recruiting, Navy was recruiting, Air Force was recruiting. And just thinking of the jets,
Yep.
I just put my hand up for the Air Force.
What does your family think when you're like, hey, by the way, I'm not a retail sort of girl. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to go and join the Defence Force. What was their reaction?
They were like, yeah, go.
Oh,
Oh, right, really? So they were really supportive of you making that huge leap, because often it'll go one of two ways with families, right? They'll look at it like, what the fuck are you doing going to the military? Or they'll look at it, for the opportunity that it provides, the education, the challenge, the I guess human development that you can get out of it. So they were really supportive.
Absolutely. And to be perfectly honest, it didn't matter whether they were supportive or
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that about me, but if I've set my sights on something, I'm doing it.
Sorry, Mum, if you're listening.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure she will one day. So did you apply for all three, or Air Force the F111 just sold it for you?
I only applied for the Air Force.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I love it.
Straight
Yeah.
in.
And initially, I applied when I was 18, and then I got cold feet and kind of got in my own head and thought, oh, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not, smart enough, fit enough, whatever, and put that on hold till I was around 20, I want to say.
I was going to say, the sliding doors moment then. Imagine if it was a big tank that rumbled past and you're like, I want to join the Army. And then Robbie's, you're a recruit instructor at 1999. A sliding doors moment, right? Tank, F111, similar-ish.
So the initial engagement with defence, you were like, righto, this is what I want to do. That you sort of identified that pit in your, that fire in your belly. Sorry, that you wanted something bigger, wanted something better, wanted something greater for yourself. But then kind of had a bit of a pause. What was it that changed your mind back? Because often people, if they take that pause at the at the initial outset, they won't re-engage, or if they do, it's not for a long time. So what was there another F111 jet that sort of dumped its fuel and you were like, fuck, I'm in? Or like, what was that point, mate?
Do you know what? Nothing changed. And time went forward, nothing changed. And I said to myself, well, nothing's going to change if nothing changes.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I
love that saying.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
awesome.
at 20, turning 21, I re-engaged in the process, and I did the aptitude testing that you're probably familiar with.
Yeah, I sat that about 4 times. I think, mate.
It's not that hard. It's like, I suppose, if you totally disengaged with school at 15, it was a little bit harder, I suppose. Yeah, that's good.
And that was a confidence boost in itself,
Awesome.
because there were a lot of jobs
Yep.
that I could do. And really, my decision was based on what they were recruiting at the time in
Yep.
the Air Force. And I had no idea what an air surveillance operator did,
Yep.
but they were recruiting. It sounded cool. And I just said, yep, sign me up.
Yeah. It's very different in the Army, hey, like we
Yeah.
spoke about before, like young guys and girls, we used to go down to Kapuka, and then at the end of your training or at the end of your done troon, depending on how you perform, that's when you put your preferences in for corps. But Air Force do it different. You get recruiters for a specific role, and then you crack on from there. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
there's definitely pros and cons in both.
Yeah, Army's a bit like Hogwarts with a sorting hat. You go through and they just go, you're going over here and you're going over here. So
Love that.
What did you say the other week?
Reference.
It's like, if you're going to catering, you're like, that's what your performance was
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
You're cooking shit for the rest of your life.
And oh, by the way, we need amazing catering officers and senior NCOs out there, because an Army marches on a stomach. Don't you worry about that.
Tell us about the preparation. Like, so you've jumped in, you've kind of said, right, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I need to make changes and engage in this. So tell us about the preparation in the lead up to, sort of day one. I mean, it's a little while ago, of course. Do you remember the butterflies in your belly, or were you kind of like, genuinely super confident about going in and like, I've fucking got this? What was that kind of approach that you took?
So fitness wise, I felt very confident because I was doing a lot of running.
Bit of CrossFit?
No. Back then, I was not doing any strength and conditioning training at all.
Okay.
You've made up for time now.
So what I identified in the pack that they'd provided at DFR with the basic fitness test requirements was that I could run that 2.4 kilometres in the given time, but was my upper body strength up to scratch, was, my core strength up to scratch. And I looked at the figures, and I can't remember off the top of my head, what they are. And I thought, okay, that's the minimum expectation. I'm going to make sure before I get there, I can do at least double.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So that under
Fucking love that
fatigue,
approach, mate.
I know that I can do the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's creating a buffer.
Yeah. That's being bulletproof from a PT perspective, mate.
Where was your basic training? Down in Wagga?
Wagga.
Is it? Yeah, good old Wagga, eh? So that's a similarity that the Air Force and the Army do share.
Yeah,
You're going to go and hang out in Wagga for how many weeks or months with your basic training then?
That was 10 weeks back in 2011.
Now,
Right.
individual experiences may vary. Did you get the hot experience or the fucking freezing cold experience?
That one, it was cold.
Yeah.
So I enlisted on the 24th of May, 2011.
Yep.
And course started like a week later or something like that. Or the day later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must have been the same cold snap that went across Canberra. It was the coldest night
mate.
ever.
No, that
the
was-
coldest winter.
That was 2004.
I know it was earlier, but I'm pulling the piss. You're hearing Luke's like fucking freezing in
Fucking
Canberra, like we
cold.
had the coldest winter
Coldest
ever.
ever.
Yeah.
Everyone says outfield.
Yeah.
Ours was the coldest.
Ours was the hardest. We walked the furthest. We had the coldest food. No one says we have the coldest beer.
Ever. So tell me about so you went in as it's kind of youngish, in the grand scheme of things, young by Ryan's perspective anyway when you were joining. Tell us about your experience going in. Was it a whole lot of new information that was kind of overwhelming, or was it just kind of like, was it well paced, well designed, that kind of stuff, and then coupled with some real physical challenges?
So when I was in the moment, I remember feeling like I was just getting fed from a fire hose.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I can see the structure and the layout, and it was well planned. But when I was in it as a 21-year-old, not on like even simple things like the barracks instructions.
Yep.
I had no
How
idea.
to march, how to make your bed,
I had no idea what they were talking about.
adhere to timings,
Exactly.
work as a team.
Quick change. What is going
that?
on? What are you talking about? Just you are so fully submersed into a different world, but there's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
Because unlike you, who you had a pathway to join defence from a very young age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like your NLP is going to take in some of those things. I had NFI, no idea that I was going to join the military whatsoever until mum and my grandmother put me in a car to go down there. So I was not watching army movies to see how they march, how they make, like none of that stuff clicked to me. So it was every single thing they were doing to me was foreign as well. I get a sense you're saying the same thing.
Yes.
Like no matter how rudimentary the task, because it was the military way of doing it, that wasn't clicking with you. Or, is that what I mean?
And by the end of the 10 weeks, absolutely,
Of course.
everything's second nature.
Yeah.
But just initially, things were a real shock.
Were they yelling and screaming like it was a bit of shock and capture? Like tell us about that genuinely. Like what's Air Force basic training like as a soldier, sailor, airman, airwoman?
Aviators now.
Right, a fucking naval aviator. Right, aviators. Is that what? Yes. So you go in as an aviator.
Yes. They've just recently changed that.
Okay, but when you were there, it was
Airman, airwoman.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Was it males and females in the class? How many in the class? What were the instructors like? Just like take us into the soul of what it was like to leave civilian Amana behind and go, I'm now bloody joining the Air Force. I'm really interested.
Okay. So the whole intake came from all over Australia.
Yep.
And I joined from Victoria. I was living in Victoria at the time. So I got on a small plane and flew to the Wagga airport.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell by the nervous looks on a few other faces that we were all going.
Who's going?
Yes, we were all going to Wagga for the same reason. And from memory, maybe around 6 or 7 of us. And we all looked really nervous, scared, all that kind of thing. So we landed in Wagga at nighttime. I remember getting off the plane, grabbing our luggage, and just we were all nervously waiting. And then an MSI, a couple of MSIs, our military skills instructor, they walked into the terminal at Wagga Airport and called out our names. And I just remember my heart was racing.
Yeah, I still remember that feeling
They
too.
didn't yell.
I'm loving this.
They didn't yell.
No, because you're in a civilian airport.
So the last time they were polite though.
Yes, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Keep going.
So they didn't yell, but they were just very assertive.
Yep.
And that was scary in itself and intimidating.
Yep.
And so we all get our luggage and we get on this bus and they didn't talk to us. So we're doing the drive and the airport is like a 3-minute drive. Like you're literally just going around to the base.
RAAF Wagga is Wagga Airport.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not fucking very big.
Exactly
it's the
right.
same runway and everything. Yeah.
So they drive us to the barracks and there's a few, it's concurrently happening. So, you know, other buses are coming in and so all the recruits are coming in that night and they were still quite pleasant and they said, go and get changed because we all just had civvy clothes, normal clothes on. Go and get changed into something a bit more comfortable. And so I shared this story on our Facebook page. I'm so nervous and I just was like, where am I? What's going on?
What am I doing?
Yes.
Have I made the right decision?
Exactly. We walk into the barracks and I find my name and it says, this is your room. So I go down to that room and just the light, all the lights are on and I just find a bed and I open up my suitcase and I change my pants and then
Put some PJs on.
I don't even remember. Maybe
Okay.
put some track pants on or something.
Yeah.
It was cold. And then I hear an MSI yell for everyone to come down to the common room. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we all go down and he says, now I just want everyone to know that if you get changed, you close the blinds.
Oh.
First lesson.
Yes.
I just saw someone's ass.
Is that what he said?
Here's the first lesson in the military that you will learn. Don't get your ass out the window. Is that?
So you know what I do? I just pretend it's not me and I'm looking around
No.
shocked like, oh, who would do that?
No. He wouldn't have seen it was you. No.
Hopefully.
Oh, that's classic.
Was there a moment, and we'll continue through this, but was there a moment where it really hit you like, I have joined the military? Like, there's a lead up to it and there's that point of realization where, was it when you first saw your name on something? Was it when your first instructor saw your bum crack? What was that? What was that moment for you where you realized, shit, this is real?
It was when they marched us down to the clothing store and we all
That
got
evening?
kitted up. I think it was the day after. It's all
Right.
a bit, timings are a bit blurry, but it was
Sure.
definitely in the initial day or two. We went to the clothing store and we got sized up for our boots, sized up for our cams, put them on. And then when we had to stitch, I don't know if you guys do it in the army, you stitch on a red label because you don't get issued your embroidered name tags for your cams until you've finished recruit training.
Same.
So you write them on a mark, with a marker pen, and you stitch it on yourself, and it has to be stitched perfectly.
Of course.
Everything needs to be done perfectly.
Yes.
I want to know, were they yelling at you by now?
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
that first morning, it would have been like, "Oh, hi team, come
Get
and meet me in
up.
the front." Get the fuck! Like, I used to have bloody tin lids in a baseball bat and fucking walking down, and going, "Get up!"
They weren't doing that in the RAAF.
All right.
I don't remember exactly when the yelling started, but it was. I'm gonna say, if not the first night, the morning after.
Yeah, and it's a switch. It's pretty intimidating, isn't it? When that the shackles come off the instructors and they're like, righto, it's awe and capture time, and we're going to start really instilling these these disciplines in you, these timings. You will be here, or there are consequences, as we discussed with with my experience. It's a night and day switch, isn't it? Where you're just like, holy fuck.
Yes, and our instructors used to do this thing where one would yell one instruction, another would be yelling a different instruction. Someone else would be yelling,
Jesus.
"What are you doing?" And it's like
Chaos.
all these panicked, cats like just herding all these scared young people.
Now, in your recruit class, how many male, was it a male and female class, and what was the ratio in that training
That's a
institution?
good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, it was blended.
Yep.
And we had, as a collective, off the top of my head, maybe around 40, and then they were split into 2 separate flights.
Okay.
So we were one intake,
Yep.
and then we were split into 2 separate flights.
Yep. And what was the ratio of male to female for your group? Was it like the average across the board about 11-12%, or was it a bit higher, a bit lower?
No, ours was probably around 11-12%. There
Okay.
were definitely more males than
Yeah.
females.
So
Yeah.
5 or 6 females out of 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
not many still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not many. That's
Yeah.
not. I mean, when you go through a cohort like I did, and your class is sort of 200, that I think we had about. We're actually a little bit higher than average. I think we had about 20-25%, but that's quite a large collective of females that are able to be that spread across the force, so to speak. But 4 or 5, like that's a pretty small network to be able to bounce off, to be able to sort of reinforce, to be able to encourage and that sort of stuff. Did you find that challenging, or did you find that gender kind of came out of it a little bit, or did you find those clicks?
Oh, sorry. It's that we had about 5 females per flight.
Got it.
So
Okay,
I
so
think
it's a little bit
roughly
more.
there was 10 to maybe 12.
Okay,
right.
good.
In total.
Yep.
But to answer your question, gender didn't really play a part at
Yep.
basic training.
Awesome.
Good.
That's great
It's
to
not
hear.
supposed to.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Everyone was just doing what everyone was told to
Surviving.
do. Exactly right. And if anything, I set myself a challenge to make sure I was stronger and faster and fitter.
I love that, mate. That's fucking awesome.
Did the boys go and get their head shaved?
Yes.
Right. And what was the reaction to you guys when they walked back in?
Kind of
What
like...
did you say? Looking like a...
A little patch of Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, you could see a little bit of their, confidence
Yeah.
or whatever had been taken with that hair that had fallen
And that
on
would have
the
been in the
ground.
first 48 hours or so, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There you go.
So how long was your course for? Like I think we covered that. 10
weeks.
weeks. Yeah, okay. So through that whole time, you know where you're going, right? In terms of which category you're going to be assigned to.
Yes.
But you don't know location. So it could still be anywhere in Australia, or are you kind of? It's pretty clear from day one.
It's clear from day one.
Okay.
So I knew I knew that basic training, so basic Air Force training would be 10 weeks in Wagga.
Yep.
And then I knew because my mustering, so the job that I'd chosen was air surveillance operator, I would then go straight onto initial employment training in Williamtown.
Okay, right. And how long was that?
That was 10 weeks.
Again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was fast again.
Let's finish on the basic training stuff. What was there something that you did find? What was the most challenging bit? Like the shock and awe's over. You're like, okay, now I'm bloody transitioning. They're taking out a piece of my soul, which is this civilian, and then replacing it with the military one that you now need to be part of that organisation. What was the most challenging bit?
So I've spoken about I wanted to be as fit and fast and strong as possible. And what I noticed was I was getting frustrated with other people that weren't as fit and fast and strong. And what I really needed to do was be more of a team player.
Okay.
And
Was the collective punishment in play then?
100%.
Yeah, good.
And what I realised in myself was I needed to help other people be fitter, faster and stronger
Yeah.
rather than just worrying about myself. And with that, I had a better experience because I felt more immersed in the team.
You're a very caring, nurturing sort of person anyway.
Thank
so
you.
did that... Yeah, I'm glad you had that realisation. It's like, I got this covered, but I'm now being punished because other people that are not fit as fast and strong as me now need to be sort of brought up. So you're coaching, mentoring, like helping them out with, with their stuff, which is good. What about was there an aha moment where you woke up or just had a realisation going, I'm in the Air Force now? Like, was it weapon handling skills, or did you know how to do something that was really military orientated that you had no background in whatsoever, and you just went, yep, I'm in the right place?
Yeah, do you know what? When we went out field, as cold as it was, there was a mouse plague as well in Wagga.
All right.
So
Excellent.
when we were sleeping in our boots, we've got our rifles next to us, and we slept under hoochies, believe it or not.
Oh, he's snappers.
Bloody hell.
Never touched it
I was
again.
going to say. You beat me to it.
One and done.
One and done. I remember being in my sleeping bag, like cams, boots, everything on, and I was just holding my sleeping bag over my face because I could feel the mice running over me.
Wow. Oh, yuck.
But do you know what? I thrived and I loved being outfield. I loved leopard crawling through the sand. I just loved it. So
that makes one of us, buddy, out of this room.
I know,
think.
I'm weird.
Yeah,
I loved the
I wouldn't have
challenge.
did what I did if I didn't strangely like it a little bit now. I fucking hate it now, but I liked it at the time.
And that was probably an aha moment of like, here I am.
Yeah.
you know.
cool.
This is the sort of stuff I saw on the TV, and now I'm doing it myself.
And I'm doing it myself, and I can do it.
Yeah. Did you do much shooting down there? And do you like shooting?
I like it. Am I good at it? No.
Right.
I wish I was good at it.
Yeah.
But so went to the live range and loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's good. Specialist training at Willietown. Great place to get posted. Did you do your whole career there then? I was going to say,
I did.
I know a fair bit about you, and I'm like, I can't remember you telling me about another intermediate posting.
Because I haven't.
Yeah, boom.
I didn't.
One and done
So
again.
One and done.
Accidentally, I did my whole career, so 11 and a half years at Williamtown.
So that's where they do the ASO training.
Yes.
And then where could have you gone?
So I could have gone to Williamtown, which I went to.
I know that.
Darwin. Yeah. Wait, I'm listing them all. Darwin
Right.
or Adelaide.
Okay. Yeah.
So what was it? Was that a personal preference to want to stay in Williamtown? And look, out of those options, I know where I'd be bloody choosing as well. Was that more?
I didn't know you'd like Darwin so much.
Was that a personal preference for you to go into, to stay in Williamtown, or was that just how it so transpired? Based on your mustering and your engagement with your manner and that sort of stuff.
So the blokes that I was on basic course with, a couple of them had their hearts set on either Darwin, Adelaide, or Williamtown for a couple of like personal reasons. I was single, I was young, I was happy to just kind of like go with the flow.
Yep.
And the guy that I got along the best with and we're still good mates today, he wanted to go to Willietown. So I was like, well, if Rhino's going to Willietown, I'm going to Willietown.
Yeah, good.
And that's how it transpired.
One thing I missed here was how many out of the 40 basic training went to ASO though? So it would have whittled down a lot.
There were 6 of us.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, everyone else went to.
Was it 100% just jumping back into your basic training? What was the attrition rate when you went through? So, how many people dropped out? Were there kind of people, halfway through they're like, fuck, this is not for me? Not everybody gets to have that aha moment where I'm like, I'm in the job I want to be in. What were the amount of people that...
There's only once in a hoochie, mate. It can't be that many.
Due to injury or people realising, you know what, this isn't for me, because DFR can prepare you as much as possible, but until you know, you don't know.
Yeah, of course. Mate.
So maybe 10%. It wasn't a high rate. A few people did get back.
So most got through.
Yeah, they did.
That's good.
That's pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah, that's encouraging.
That means the training's at the right tempo. It's aimed at the right level. I mean, it's all military training experiences, except for selection, is supposed to get people through. Like that's the idea. You don't want people dropping off all the time because then it's all wasted resource, wasted time, money, effort, etc. So
that's a pretty good graduation rate, to be honest. Like a 90% grad. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So you're like initial employment training dudes, Rhino and 4 or 5 others. Like you would have no doubt kept pretty tight with them.
Yeah.
Like you were what were you the? I don't know, 3 of 2011 bloody ASO course or something.
Do you know what? I think we were number 3.
All right, that was a guess.
Yeah, we have kept pretty tight.
Tell us, just so for those Navy and Army people out there that have NFI, what an ASO does, that's 2 TLAs in a very short succession. What does an ASO do?
An ASOP, so an air surveillance operator,
Right.
tracks, detects and classifies airborne, sea, land or space assets, depending on where you're posted to and the mission objectives.
Right. So friendlies and adversaries, like tracks anything really.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's the smallest bit that it tracks? Not the mouse. Like, yeah, what's the smallest asset that it can track? Or is that depending on the radar, depending on the range, depending on the magnification level?
Exactly,
et cetera?
yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the system. Yeah.
And, were you interested in that stuff before you? Like, did you, like you said, you were smart enough to have a range of different roles there. What about being an ASO interested you to go down that path?
Well, because DFR said to me, it's secret and you'll need top secret clearance and we can't really tell you about it. I was like, well, I want to do that.
I get a sense you're like, I don't think you're going to be very good at that, Amana. You're like, fucking watch me.
Yeah.
I'll be the best.
So when was it? obviously we can't talk about a lot of the stuff, but when you got in there and you got your clearances, which take quite a while, as as most of our audience will know, when you got to peek behind the curtain, was it kind of, did you start to feel kind of, holy shit, I'm starting to see some of the capabilities that we bring to bear? It started to feel that sort of reinforce that decision for you where you went, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be.
This is the cool shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, awesome, mate.
Did you, we're asking Ryan sort of the same thing. Do you get attached to a squadron, or do you just sit at one level above there and you provide that more broad support to a number of different flying squadrons?
So I was attached to a unit, and tasking would determine the product that we would supply.
Right.
Okay.
So you were helping out the Hornets when they were there. Do you help out the Wedgetail as well?
Yes.
Anything and everything, like
Yes.
whatever the task needs, really.
Yep,
and you do that
absolutely.
from Willietown?
Yes.
Or do you deploy with them?
Yeah, so if you can picture
That was too many yeses then.
There were.
Yes, and yes.
Picture a dark room with lots of screens and all different types of feeds coming in, radar feeds, near real-time data exchange. And
That's the truckie and you and the JTAC and me coming
Yeah, I
out.
was
One
just-
says
I
no,
was-
one says yes.
I just went transport. I was like, nah,
Yeah.
I got a Refidex.
You're like, yeah, you've got a Speedo.
so all those feeds are consolidated, and then we are able to track and detect, classify, anything that's coming on the screen,
Yeah, great.
and then push that picture to the client.
Yeah. Yes. What's it like being in a room, and for how many hours were you in there for?
Oh, it
Because
depends.
that would have been something to get used to.
Yes, absolutely. And dependent on the operation, the exercise, or the mission. If it's a surveillance mission, so maybe just tracking the wedge tail, it could be quite low drag. If it's a big exercise where we're integrated with Army, Navy, Air Force, there's a lot of controllers on the radio, JTACs, all that kind of thing. It's intense. And you might be sitting on console for, say, 3 hours, but that whole 3 hours is very exhausting because you're also monitoring chat windows. So, like a chat page. Mm-hmm. You're also listening on the radio, and then you're also watching the screen.
A lot
Yeah.
of data input feeds into you,
Absolutely.
all of them being extremely relevant, like extremely important, by the way, because they all hold those critical pieces of information that you need to be able to sort of identify and pass on to the relevant, to the relevant player that needs them to make those decisions.
It's a bit like us when we do our coaching sessions, and we'll branch into that in a second, because you saw me in my ASO mode when we did our coaching session. I literally said to Tammy last night when I walked downstairs at 6:30. She goes, "How long are you going to be, babe?" I'm like, "I'll be back in 2 hours." She goes, "Oh, that's a long time." I'm like, it goes fast for me.
It does.
I'm sure it
flies.
goes fast for you though as well. Like you're in there for 3 hours, but because you're just so mentally engaged, and you just like, it's good that they rotate you through reasonably quickly. Because I think you'd fall off the perch quite quickly. Like I'm glad our sessions only go for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like they could go for longer, they're pretty mentally draining though.
Yeah, and as you would have experienced with the 3 hour session with the coaching, you give everything, right? It's not, we never show up half-assed to any of our coaching sessions or because we've got a product, we've got the clients need that from us to be able to get what they need out of it. They need to have that clarity, they need to have that plan and that strategy, and so for us, we're putting everything into it. So for 2 hours, you are absolutely burning the engines and dumping the fuel, and I'm assuming that it's the same when you're sitting there for 3 hours with all of those data input feeds and that requirement to do analysis while you're flowing.
Absolutely. And your SA, situational awareness, needs to be at an all-time high. You cannot miss anything.
Yeah, of course.
Good. What was it like living in Newey?
Oh, loved it.
Yeah, good. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything other than that. It's a great spot to live, yeah.
Perfect
I never
spot.
lived there, but I went there heaps and heaps of times, of course. That was
Did you
good.
hang out on the beach? Like,
Yeah.
talk to us about some of the
Yes.
highlights.
What
of
was
Newey.
your
Sell it
lifestyle
to
like?
us.
So I loved going running.
Of course.
And it's a very hilly area.
It is.
So when I initially moved to Newcastle, I was living in town, close to the beach, beautiful like hill runs, great coffee shops, restaurants, that kind of thing. You're not even far from the wineries. Like it's it's an awesome spot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And if anyone wants to get posted there, put your hand up, I reckon.
Then what about you said you were single when you first got there. How was dating life in Newcastle when you first got there?
Single according to the Air Force. So
Oh, right.
I had
Right.
a rookie's romance.
Okay. Right.
And we tried to continue that, but he was in a different job and we were posted to different locations. Also really young, and it just fizzled out.
Yeah.
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 That often happens. Sorry, mate. That often happens when you're in those compressed environments. There's a lot of sort of compressed emotions in that space as well, and so relationships can often form out of those sort of going through those hardships together and those learnings. It really is that ab initio training, that ab initio space where everything is compressed, like you were talking about before. You can really develop a quick burn kind of relationship there that and unfortunately it often goes their own way when the individuals go their own way with defence, which you always do.
Yes.
Clearly you didn't stay single.
No.
Tell us that story. The story. How does the Ryan story, the Lewis story?
Ryan Lewis, aka the lumberjack.
Right.
Then.
We want the real version, not his version.
Yeah.
Which was he came in, he had a flannelette jacket on, a long beard, axe over his shoulder.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I was doing a bit of CrossFit. You know what I said to him? I'm like, how do you know someone's doing CrossFit? They're walking around telling everyone.
They'll tell you.
So
how did you get into CrossFit then? Because that's where you guys met, right?
Yes. So I'd finished my initial employment training in Newcastle, secured that posting to Willietown, Newcastle, and got to my posted unit and realised I have no friends. I'm in a new place. I knew people from work, but I really wanted to also have a social life separate to work.
Yep. Smart.
What do I do? Oh, I'll join a gym. And I heard all these people talking about CrossFit. I had no idea what it was. One of the MSIs actually was talking about it. So I went to
Of course he was.
yeah, well, it was a female actually.
Of course she was.
And I went down to the base gym and asked the PTIs, so the physical training instructors, hey guys, have you heard of CrossFit? They're like, of course we've heard of CrossFit. I said, all right, well, can you recommend a gym that I go to? And they did. So I started.
There's a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had recommended a different gym.
Right?
You'd be here with Brian instead of Ryan.
Rhino.
So I went along and I thought, yeah, this looks pretty fun. And I did notice Ryan, I must admit, and he was wearing,
a leotard, wasn't he?
No.
He was wearing a flannelette.
Yeah. Oh.
But he used to ride a scooter. Did he mention that?
No.
He rode
he
a
didn't.
scooter.
Excellent.
He also took CrossFit to the extreme and trained with no shoes.
Right.
And no shirt.
Of course.
Yeah, that's a CrossFit way.
You
yeah.
have to.
Right,
Shirts have to be.
Not even those bloody flash Vibram things where you put your toes in an individual
five fingers.
compartment. No. This is
full
like
beard,
right.
flannel, no shoes.
Just
Right.
throwing tin.
Yeah,
just
pretty much.
Town planner kicking ass in Newcastle, and then in walks you.
Exactly. And then fast forward, I don't know, an amount of time, and that rookie's romance had fizzled out.
Yep.
And I was speaking to some of the girls at CrossFit, and I think one of them asked, how's your boyfriend or something along those lines. And I said, we split up. Lewis, as I call Ryan, was within earshot.
Yeah, he's like,
Later that night.
he's like, did I just fucking hear that right? We're getting way more tea now than what he spilled.
I hope you're thirsty. I got it all. So later that night, bing,
Oh,
friend
slid.
request.
Hey, bang,
Friend request from
course.
Ryan.
Did he?
Lewis. Yeah.
Right.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
mate. Hey, just gym buddies. Seen you at the gym.
Just good technique,
yeah,
good form.
yeah.
And you know what? I think I do recall him saying, if you'd like some help with your technique or your lifting, I was like, mate,
Amazing.
you need help with your lifting.
I could show you around.
I love it. He can see through the glass right now. He's watching us laughing and he has no idea that we're
idea.
laughing about him.
No idea.
When you're listening back to this, Ryan, if you think that we're laughing about you,
We are.
We are. No, but there's dozens and dozens of examples, mate, that you and I have heard over the years of people that share a common interest and you're there hanging out together and you just happen to get on well. Like, what was it like when you sort of first started falling for each other? Tell us that.
Well, it was just very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
cool.
we had that shared enjoyment of doing exercise. I'm trying not to say the word CrossFit. Of going to the gym and looking after ourselves. It was just very, very natural. And it felt like we'd known each other for a long time. As cliched as that sounds, it was just easy.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And then he actually said, if you recall, that you re-inspired him to maybe join the military. So tell us about what's your recollection of events as far as that goes. Because he was like, town planner's not really doing it for me anymore. Been doing it for quite a while. seeing this chick in the Air Force now. I can see the camaraderie, see the happiness, like all that stuff.
So I would come home. We weren't living together then, but we spent a lot of time together. And I'd talk about my day at work and how I did a 2-hour gym session, went for coffee with my mate.
Whilst being paid.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, I've just signed up to play women's rugby or play basketball, and I'm going to go away for 2 weeks and get paid to do that.
Yeah, of
not
course.
take leave. So the cogs were starting to turn over there. And then that's when he shared with me, well, like last week's episode, he tried to join the Navy.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, why don't you try again? Why don't you try to do the ADF again? Why not?
Yeah. I love it that, like, talk about sliding doors moment, you enabled him to go back and fulfill his dream of joining the Air Force again, just based on his observation of you. But then, you know, we both asked him, how was Amana and like supporting? He goes, without her, I don't think I would have been able to join. Like, you provided a really beautiful platform of safety and security and curiosity and inspiration for him to be going, hey, join the military. Like, you should feel amazing about that.
I do, thank you.
Yeah.
We also discussed, you know, around giving him the real insight into what it would be like on the other side as well. And, you know, we identified how much of a, you know, amazing asset that is for somebody who is, you know, who's gone through that journey that he went through to get into defence. But then also, you know, when that doesn't necessarily happen in the first instance and he, you know, and he chose to go back around, he, as a mature age individual, which is quite a different journey as well, you know, but to have that resource to be able, through your network that you created for him in that support space, you know, for him to be able to get a real life understanding of what it was going to be like on the other side. So not necessarily just looking at the Kellogg's box, but actually getting to, you know, look inside and see what that's about.
How did it make you feel when he said, like, he's been accepted and he's going to OTS and he got through OTS? Like, just give us a bit of an insight of how you were managing your emotions along that journey.
I was so excited for him because I knew how crushed he was when he was a teenager and he got knocked back. So I was so excited for him. I was a bit anxious because I hadn't been in that in those shoes before. I'd always been the serving member, the one that goes away, the one that gets the tap on the shoulder and says, you know, in 48 hours, off you go. I'm
You're being voluntold to do things.
Yeah, like I was living that exciting life, if I can put it that way. I wasn't the one being left behind. So I got to experience what it's like to be the person that gets left behind. Do
you think he joined like the INT fraternity based on what you were doing?
I'd like to tell myself that.
I haven't asked him, but like it's a genuine inquiry. Like, I reckon he would have gone there and like, all right, if I'm going to do something, I want to do something cool and like something secretive and just something high level. Like Amana gets to have that spark in her. Like, I'm sure what he got to observe from you, he would have been trying to emulate himself, which he did.
I think so, definitely. And then also, you know, we've talked about he joined in his 30s. That was definitely a consideration as well. Like, would he do something that was more physically taxing that might not be the right fit? So I think him seeing my my experiences from work would have definitely played a role in that decision-making process.
Now, it was around this time as well that something else exciting was happening in your life, isn't there? Can you tell us about that?
Do you mean I was pregnant?
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time together. I'm like, I know how much time you spent together. How did that come? Like, we didn't ask him this. Like, when you sort of first found out that you were pregnant, like, hey, babe, guess what? We're having a child. Or however you said it.
So I went down for Ryan's OTS graduation in East Sale and went down for a weekend. About a month later, felt like I was hungover day after day after day. And I thought, nah, I couldn't be pregnant. I bought one pregnancy test.
That's all it takes.
Yep. And it was a digital one, so it was either going to say the words pregnant or not pregnant.
Yeah, I watched the show last night. It talks about that. Yeah.
Took the test and just sat it on the bathroom vanity and just thought, that's going to say not pregnant. And the dogs were home with me, Wally and Theo. Shout out to my boys.
Yo.
Went back into the bathroom 5 minutes later and just glanced over at it. And I remember going, holy shit.
Wow.
And the dogs rushed in thinking something's wrong. So I FaceTimed Ryan, and this was a Friday afternoon, and he'd already gone to start his basic training. FaceTime Ryan, and he's like, hey, babe, I'm just at the base gym, just doing a sesh. What's up? And I said,
You were up.
and I said to him, do you want to go outside for a moment? So he goes outside and I said to him, I'm pregnant. And he goes, no way. Do another test.
At least he didn't say, who to?
Do you know what people like to comment that? So our firstborn's Moana, our daughter, that she has very...
Shout out to you, Mo, as well.
Shout out to you, girl.
She loves listening, yeah.
So that she has very long legs. And so Ryan and I like to make a joke, oh, her dad must have been tall.
Yeah, that's right. Make no comment. And then, yeah, obviously your guy, he came back from doing his sort of int core training and stuff like that. And then, boom, you guys are living together in Newey. That would have sort of accelerated things a little bit for you both.
It did. So we were already in a service residence because I was a serving member.
Yep.
So in terms of being adequately housed to, welcome a child, we weren't stressed about that at all.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, awesome.
Good.
That's a great place to be,
Yeah.
to know that kind of, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If you can start providing those base level of needs, it takes a huge amount of stress off to be able to focus on those other points.
It really
Something
does.
else really exciting started to come into your life about that time too.
Oh, yes, it did. I think you're talking about the scam Ryan brought home.
Yes, yes, exactly what I'm talking about. Tell us about that.
So,
Because then he would have like, hey, babe, I've got some news to share with you.
yes. So I was on maternity leave with baby Moana, and previous to that, we'd been speaking a lot about buying a home, but what's the right place to, where's the right place to buy? When's the right time? There's a lot of conversation in the ADF, like water cooler, lunchroom chat. There's always someone like Joe Blow that thinks he knows everything and tells everyone, do this, do that.
Disinformation.
100%.
Rumour, innuendo, you name it.
Oh, yeah. So Ryan comes home and he says to me, I found this company that help ADF members utilise all their entitlements, because I was aware that I had HPAS and Dough House up my sleeve. We had the first homeowners grant, all those grants. We were aware of them, but we didn't understand how to use them, and we were scared to make the wrong decision, so we did nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, very common story.
Very common.
I deployed in 2016, and together we'd also put some savings together. So we felt like we were ready, but we just didn't know what to do. So anyway, Ryan comes home and says, I found this business, and it was Axon. And I said to him, it's a scam.
No way.
I've been called worse, but and better as well.
So he said to me, look, just let's do this connection. I think it was the connection call. We'll do the first call. It's free. Let's just put the feelers out, go with our gut. And so we did that, and we got off that call, and I was the one like, oh my God, yes, let's do it.
I was going to say, because my recollection of that, we need to call discovery session back then or whatever, it was a disco. You were very engaging on that call. Like, you were very inquisitive. Maybe that was you just sussing me out, sussing us out, sort of thing. You must have watched the videos and everything beforehand as well, though.
Yes.
Just to get an understanding of the mechanics of who we are, and then obviously the dynamics of the call comes from there. So that's good. That I love it how people are really cautious before they reach out to me, because you need to be like, there's a lot of dodgy operators out there in many different industries.
Yeah.
Like we've all had conversations and been made promises and had made mistakes about people trying to sell us stuff we don't need for the wrong purpose and the wrong time. So I like it when people are really protective. So, but every now and then you get, like, everyone needs assistance doing it at some stage, or you run the gauntlet and try and do it by yourself, and then you might as well sit around the water cooler and listen to Jono bloody jaw off.
Exactly
about
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So what did you guys end up doing?
So we said yes, obviously, to Axon, and you briefed us on what was going to happen. And there was a bit of a timeline there. So, roughly this time, property specialists will reach out and give you a brief, and we'll find the right block of land and the right builder.
But the overall intent, just so everyone's aware, that you were going to pull the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements and buy Newey.
Absolutely.
Or the surrounds anyway.
Yes, and we were going to buy an owner-occupier property.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Yeah. That would have been good. Like, if that's what you were... If you were thinking about it, if you knew that was the right move for your family to sort of have that bit of stability and get out of the rental, or the Marrie Quarter rut there, like, how did it make you feel that you now found someone that you can now build rapport with and like build those tentacles of trust to know that they are going to provide services to you and they've got your best interests at heart?
Genuinely, we felt empowered. And I know that's our mission here at Axon, is to empower the ADF community, but that is how we felt. We felt
Well, that's
so
good. We got that right
empowered.
then.
Yeah. Tick.
I haven't heard you say that. Genuinely,
Yeah.
that was a genuine comment. I haven't heard you say that. So none of this is scripted, by the way. Obviously, we know what's happened, and we're now chronologically going through what your life was. Why'd you join the military? What your basic training was like, etc. And it happened. We ran into each other, which is pretty good.
So I know the answer to this already, but what was the outcome like for both of you? Like going through, because for us, particularly the coaches, up the front, and for the rest of the business for that matter, the experience is as important as the end product. And so you've kind of given us a summary of, the experience that you went through being empowered. What was the end product like for you guys?
It was amazing. The process itself
Yep.
was smooth and stress-free.
Yeah.
Really, and honest, it was just the build support team would let us know, hey, you got a slab. Please sign this claim. We did that. And then
Here's some photos.
exactly right. Every so often we would go out for a drive because we were living around about 20 minutes from where we were building. We'd go out and then we had a home.
Ryan was saying that when you couldn't get Mo down, you're like, come on, babe, let's go hop in the car.
Let's go for a drive.
That's funny, RT. As a client, I had a similar experience. There must be some kind of system or process in place to make it smooth and easy.
Can you let me know when you find it? 400 builds later, I think we've got it covered, give or take anyway.
So you guys say you're in your own home, work sort of is what it is and it's ticking along.
Yes.
You've deployed, so you've got yourself in a good position. Talk to us about now how, you're obviously not still in the military and neither is Ryan quite clearly, but talk to us about that transition and how that sort of started. Like what were the initial conversations around, was it kind of, I've got everything I can get out of the military, not in a selfish way, but I mean, at some point in time, the relationship changes. Just take us through that little journey.
The old T word, the transition.
Yes.
We've all been through it in our own very
We'll
unique
become-
circumstances. I'd love for you to be able to share yours with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll rewind a little bit. I was working at a training school. So I was a initial employment training instructor for other ASOPs.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Great.
And that was very fulfilling.
That's awesome.
I felt like I was able to empower and train the next generation of ASOPs. I was able to apply lessons learned from when I was a trainee, what I didn't like, and affect change and really foster and coach young trainees coming through. So that was a really big tick for me. I really wanted to do that.
It's almost like you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
Like I know you've instructed on various courses throughout the time, and I did my time at Kapuka and Duntroon as well. Like passing on information based on your experiences to other people and seeing them grow and prosper and benefit from it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a real privilege and an honour. It really is. And that might
is.
sound corny and
No,
cheesy, but
it's-
it just is amazing.
But it's the ultimate test also about what you know about a particular subject,
Yep.
because then you need to be able to pass it on to someone and get them to understand it.
Yeah, because
You
it's
just go so much deeper, don't you? Lee?
100%. It's not just about sort of understanding it. It's about being able to communicate it in a way that can be understood, as well as knowing that subject deeply and professionally yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're flying along. You're now. I'm sure they don't just choose anyone to go and be an instructor. So you're kicking ass in your particular trade and firm, but the T word still came your way.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was an instructor and I was fulfilled and I'd done that. So I ticked that box. Then I fell pregnant with Moana. And while I was pregnant, I thought this won't change anything. I'm still going to be on the same trajectory for my career. I'd like to do something different now that I've done the instructor gig. What next? We talked about going to Canberra in the next posting cycle. Moana came along and it's very hard to explain, but everything just kind of shifted for me.
Yep.
My perception, just how I felt, my priorities shifted. Yes. Ryan was now a serving member. And although we knew that two serving members, there might sometimes be some conflictions with whose career is more important.
Yep.
What we found very difficult was COVID came around. We didn't have any family in the area. Ryan was away for 9 months in total of 2021. I was pregnant with Keanu, our son, and I was sick throughout that whole pregnancy.
That's a heavy workload, mate.
Heavy.
That's huge.
Yeah. So a lot of work from home, not enough support, and that's not a dig at anyone, but
Yep.
we just, we couldn't even have someone come over to the house because of the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
And it really started conversations between Ryan and myself of, are we living in the way that really fulfills us? What we're sacrificing through our service in the ADF, is it worth what we're getting out?
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a selfish sense, but we really had to sit down and say to each other, is this worth it?
Yeah.
And are we making the choices that make the outcomes that we want? And the answer was no. So something needed to change.
Don't kids change everything?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can relate really closely, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of our listeners can relate, particularly obviously the ones that have transitioned out. There becomes that point where you're like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like,
yes.
You know, and it's not because the Defence Force has changed. It's not because they're giving you any less. It's that your priorities in life change, and therefore you're not a fit anymore. And it's about, you know, everybody at some point doesn't become a fit for the Defence Force. It's just the way that life is, right? Yeah, so what was the decision point for you guys where it was like, okay, we've had this discussion and we're starting to see that perhaps this is not for us. What to now? Where to now? I know the answer to that, by the way.
Yes.
And just quickly, me too, because I'm like, how many coaching sessions did we have? Like, I felt like, and it wasn't a drain, by the way. I was more than happy to jump on a call at any time. Like, let's update the plan. Like, I think we're moving to Canberra. I think we want to buy another property. Or let's put an EOI in. Oh, shit, now I'm pregnant again. So I was like living and breathing as your coach and strategist what your life evolutions were. And, you know, we created like version 15 or version 16 of your plan or something.
Yeah, didn't we just? So for a timeline of events for those playing at home, we had Moana in February of 2020. I returned back to work. And then Keanu was born in, January of 2022. And between that time, there was 12 months of maternity leave with Moana.
Yeah.
So I returned to work we had Keanu in 2022, and that's when we started these discussions of, you know, are we on the right trajectory to where we want to be? The answer was ultimately no. No for me. I felt like I had given everything that I could to the ADF whilst still getting something in return.
Of course.
Every relationship's got to have some give or take.
Exactly right. And at that stage, though, Ryan had recently signed up to the ADF. So I said, all right, we'll do one more posting cycle. That would see out Ryan's employment agreement. And then Yes. Yep. And then we could both leave at the same time. And that was the first version that we said to you, hey, Robbie, this is our plan now.
Yeah.
And then there were more discussions fast forward to May last year. And that's when we both decided, do you know what? The best decision for us is to leave, is to transition out.
Ryan said something the other day that when you got off one of those various coaching sessions with me, you guys hopped off the call and you looked at him and said, what?
I can't remember.
I think I'm going to go work with Axon. If I get to, talked about that.
Yes. So I had said that actually after our home was built.
Does that not demonstrate that this is not scripted? I know.
It's like I've said a lot of things to Ryan after a coaching call.
Hey, man, I've just got to jump out, mate. I've got a client waiting for me, someone else that we're looking forward to helping, mate. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I absolutely loved it. I'm really looking forward to hearing the end of this session.
Thanks,
all right,
Luke.
mate. Off you go, Luke.
Bye.
That's a demonstration of him. He's like, I've got a call. I cannot miss this. Anyway, you and I don't have any calls, so you and I can just keep drawing off.
Yeah, let's go.
So we jumped off one of our coaching sessions, and I think you just said that thing out of it. Like, you put it out there, quite frankly, didn't you?
I did. So I manifested it, I like to tell myself. And honestly, I think I first said it in 2020 during the construction of our house. So that, in retrospect, that says to me that I was already thinking of my transition.
Right,
subconsciously. And I said to Ryan, wow, Axon looks like a really cool place to work. But I doubted myself because I had no industry experience.
Yeah. And actually, as we started to progress your plans, I dropped a little cheeky. I'm like, well, if you're going to get out, because I think you guys are like thinking about moving to Southeast Queensland.
Yes.
Ryan's parents are up here, young family, needs the support, come back, to somewhere familiar. And I sort of said, look, I stepped way outside of my lane and I got smacked on the fingers hard for it from tomorrow. And I'm like, what do we think about? Well, if you're going to move up here, then we should talk about maybe come and work with Axon. It was like a little semi-job offer, sort of like, I'll just slide that in there. And then when I mentioned it tomorrow that evening, she's like, I'm the fucking general manager, and what are you offering people jobs for? And I was like, I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm so sorry, but I've done it anyway. And then obviously like the following months sort of, in and out, and we did some planning of this. We didn't know what Axon was going to look like. There was a few people here that were coming off the back of COVID that didn't want to come to the office anymore. So then they left, and I don't know. I had it in my gut that when I got a sense from you that you were thinking about coming up here, and I went, she's got to come and work here in Axon. Like, I know I can give her a way better life. Oh. And you know what? It fucking happened.
Yes, and I'm so grateful. You really have. And I'm honestly honoured to be wearing this shirt. I remember saying to Ryan, like, words just couldn't describe. I was so happy because naturally I was scared about what was next when I transitioned out of uniform.
Yeah, when you stop putting a heartbeat and getting a uniform and having a paycheck arrive every second Thursday, like the real world out there doesn't operate like that.
Exactly right.
You get to wear a uniform now, and I don't check your heartbeat, and you still get paid. But this is not a normal workplace.
No. So it alleviated that. And you've used this term before. It was a soft landing.
Yeah.
It has been a soft landing.
Yeah.
So thank
now,
you.
Ryan and I obviously kept communicating on the back channel there just to sort of see how your lives were evolving and whatever else. And, and I'd like to think that we became friends and genuine mates through the coaching process. And obviously now you've started with this. I remember Ryan saying to me once, he's like, I don't know what you're doing there, RT, but I've never seen Amana so happy. It's changed our dynamic. It's changed our marriage. It's changed the way we communicate with each other. He's like, he was just, it was so wonderful to hear on my end that me living my normal life here and allowing you to come and join us has totally transformed the way that you guys are operating as a married couple. To give us a bit of an insight into how that was happening on your end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what it is? I guess in my last role, I'd lost that spark. I wasn't feeling that fulfillment, and that wasn't just in the role, it was just in everything. So we changed our lives, and we moved up here. And like you said, Ryan noticed it in myself, and I felt it in myself too. I felt more confident. I really felt like I was contributing to a thing bigger than myself. The challenge of learning a new role, and I'm still learning the new role. It's just bled into everything in a really positive light.
I love that. What do you love most about being here now then? Like what part of your role or part of your contribution and support? And we've probably got 10 members that we're building houses with now that are good friends of yours.
Yeah.
So that's obviously exciting for you as well. But yeah, what do you love most about being here?
There's a few things. It's hard to split it.
It's all right. Quick question without warning.
I really love how happy and excited clients get with all the updates. And I know because I know that feeling. It is exciting.
Do you feel like you can really relate to them? And like when you're on the call, do you let them know like, hey, back in the 21, 22 period, I sat in your shoes and Ryan and I built a house?
Yes.
Do you say that to them all the time? And
absolutely.
do you get to see their reaction?
Yes.
Like do they just sit back in the chair and went, all right, this chick's got my back? Sort
exactly.
Of thing?
They
Even
know.
if they don't say it, if you should be able to observe it.
Yeah, body language definitely changes and they're a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, good. All right, what else?
I love the banter in the office and the dynamic that is like a dysfunctional family in a really good way.
Yeah. You got to have thick skin to work here.
Yes.
But we all care about each other a lot.
Yeah, I love that. And I hope you don't mind me sharing on our Friday meetings where we each share something we are proud of, grateful for, and then we provide a shout out to another team member. That is just amazing and incredible.
It's really insightful. So as the owner of the firm, I get to see what everyone else is proud, grateful and shout out for. And it's just good to see the banner and there's tears sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah, there are.
Sometimes they've never, you brought me to tears once.
I did.
When I announced to the team that Ryan was going to come and join us. And not only are we've been helping hundreds and hundreds of people from the services we provide, but now for a clients that I met back in the day and the journey that we all went on together and the success that I've seen you have and the transition that you're able to have, I'm like, now Ryan's going to be able to come and join us as well. So now, you guys are now here and you're the fourth married couple that work in the business. Ryan and Amana Lewis, what an amazing story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining Axons Unleashed, mate. Like, ladies and gents, I hope you got something out of that. This woman is an absolute superstar. If you haven't had a chance to talk to her so far, just reach out to her and she's like more than happy to have a chat about anything. But, we've got a female now that's just gone through basic training, a female that's now been able to successfully transition, a female that's now, as a veteran, now working in Axon. So, yeah, how good. Thanks very much for being on Axons Unleashed, Amana. I absolutely loved it. All right, see you next time. Woo!
Bye.